Good morning, everybody. This is Tony Jones with Rebel Financial, and today I am here with Kevin Bacon. He is a senator in District 3 here in Ohio. Phil is off today in Savannah, Georgia, with his brother a little last weekend before Brandon gets married. So we've decided to sit down with Kevin to learn a little bit more about his career and about the process of politics and getting elected and being involved here in Ohio. So thank you for coming.
Morning, Tony. Thank you for having me.
Okay. So let me just start by having you talk about your career a little bit in politics, you know, and how you got started and that leads you up till today.
Well, I grew up in northwestern Ohio, up in a town called Defiance, and that's where I got exposed to politics. My mom and dad were involved in the community. My dad had been a former prosecutor and city attorney and was a practicing attorney as well.
Okay.
So I got involved in it early on, but it wasn't until, fast forward from the time I left Defiance, I went to Miami University and Capital Law School, which brought me here to the Columbus area.
Okay.
And after starting my law career, was interested in politics, and my first elected office was township trustee. I spent 5 years as a Blendon township trustee. Then 4 years in the House of Representatives, and now in my 7th year in the House Senate. But you kind of get it in your blood. If you enjoy public service, you enjoy working with people. It's very empowering when someone comes to you with an issue. It might be something small, or it might be something really big, or anything in between. To be able to take that and run with it and help people, and that's what I really enjoy, and I always have. And just trying to find more ways to do it.
Yeah, well, good. And now you're in your final year of being in the Senate, so
next year, yes, will be my final year.
Okay,
yeah.
That's right, 2018. So really, you have to divide it. It's not meant to be full time, and so you dedicate a couple days to being a senator here. What are those days like? I mean, I know there's not a typical day, but
the days we're in session, which is typically Tuesday and Wednesday, they're very busy days because you have a Senate voting session scheduled, and then all of the committees will meet. All of us. Most senators will serve on 4, 5, 6 committees because that's the first stop for all of the legislation. You have to go through the committee process. So, and then if you're having session and having committees, you have any number of people that want to come in and meet with you to talk to you about bills, about issues. So your days are very long. They will start early and oftentimes go late. But it's enjoyable. You pack a lot in. It's exciting, and you hope you can every day do more and more to help your district.
Well, and now you had told me the big one that what's the biggest committee you're on now then?
Well, I chair the Judiciary Committee, which hears all the civil and criminal justice bills. It probably has the most bills of any committee in the Senate, if I were to guess. It's a very, very heavy caseload. I also serve on Finance, which hears all of the Senate budget issues. I'm on Public Utilities. I'm sorry, Energy Committee, not Public Utilities. They're divided up this year. And then also Government Oversight. So it's pretty heavy caseload. Okay. But I enjoy it.
Well, so you look at all these different bills. Do most of them, or all of them, get generated in the committees? I mean, what you're going to, how does a bill get started a little bit?
Well, you first of all, you take your idea, you work on your bill. So oftentimes you'll work with some of the interested parties that have a stake in the bill, and you have it drafted. And then when you have it drafted and you have the bill introduced, then it will get referred to a committee.
Okay.
There's a committee that refers bills to committees. It's called Rules and Reference.
Okay.
The Senate President, by and large, has a lot of control over where that bill goes. And then based on subject matter, it'll get sent to any number of, maybe 10 or 12 committees.
Okay. All right. So next year will be your last year in the Senate. Any plans after that? What are you thinking about that?
I'm not sure yet. Right now, I'm taking a look at the 12th Congressional District. Pat Tiberi's announced that he will step down early. So I've taken various steps to contact supporters, potential campaign staff, anything that I would need to have in place if I decide to run. So we'll see. Working at it, we'll make a decision here in the near future. So.
Well, and I think as every year goes by, it's a longer and longer process, right? I mean, so even if you want to run for something a year from now, unfortunately, like you said, you got to start putting things in order to get it going.
You do, and with early voting, about the first time I ran for the House is when the no-fault early voting started. when anyone could vote early for any reason. You may remember the days when you'd have to have a reason to vote
Right.
early.
I'm going to be out of town.
So
yeah.
it starts early. We don't have one election day anymore. So many people vote early. It changes the strategy drastically, and candidates are having to start campaigning a lot earlier because of it. But that's okay.
How soon can they early vote? I mean, how much soon?
You go back from election day. You've got a time period to register, and then you can vote about 30 days before election day. You can actually cast your.
Do you have an idea like what percentage that is of those that are casting early ballots now?
I believe
I'm catching you off.
No, that's right. I believe we've crossed. I believe we've crossed the 50%
Wow.
threshold in Franklin County.
Wow.
But not every election is the same.
Okay.
So it's probably right around half.
Yeah. Okay. You're obviously always working on legislation. So what are a couple bigger things you're working on at this point?
We have a lot of big things. One thing that I'm pushing very hard on now is the Reagan-Tokes Act. The girl that was murdered on Ohio State campus. I've been working with her family. I have two bills, Senate Bill 201 and 202, collectively referred to as the Reagan-Tokes Act. We also have a companion bill in the House. Amongst other things, changing how we treat parolees and administer electronic monitoring, but most importantly, sentencing. About 20 years ago, our sentencing structure in Ohio was changed, and I would like to, in part, revert back to the old structure, where if you're sentenced to a term and you have bad conduct in prison, or you're not trying to reform yourselves, that could alter the duration of your sentence. So under my bill, someone like Brian Goldsby, who murdered Reagan Tokes, would have served a lot longer prison sentence for the offense that he had before he murdered Reagan Tokes, because he had 46 incidences of bad conduct and violent contact in prison that served the exact same sentence that he was sentenced for his previous crime. So we need to be able to give the Department of Corrections a hammer, a method to encourage people to reform and engage in good behavior in prison, or if not, they're going to be held longer. So that's one of my biggest bills, also dealing with sub-metering. If you've seen the issue in many condominiums and apartments where companies are reselling power, and in many cases at a higher rate than the standard electric rate. I have a bill that we're spending a lot of hours on now to correct that, to make sure consumers aren't paying any more than they would anywhere else.
So basically, some of these companies are just forcing themselves as the middleman for no good reason.
Yeah, there's we'd call it a loophole in law. They're not treated the same as utilities. They're not regulated currently. So they can actually take the power and sub-meter it to all the tenants in an apartment or condominium and charge what they want. So I'm working to have a bill that's going to correct that and have my bill that I've done 3 years in a row that's been very popular is sales tax holiday. We're going to have another sales tax holiday next year, but I'm also working on legislation to make that permanent so that we don't have to keep passing legislation every year, to have the sales tax holiday. So a lot of big things that I'm working on that I want to make sure that are passed by the end of next year.
Yeah, okay. One more year to do it. The sales tax holiday, is that for the school year or the holidays? When does that happen?
Right now, the way we have done it the first 3 years thus far is the first Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in August. So you try to time it close to back to school shopping.
Okay. All right.
And you have items of clothing, $75 or less would go sales and use tax free. And then instructional and school material, $20 and less per item would go sales and use tax free. So you can buy as much as you want.
Right.
You just have a cap on the per item of what you can shop for during the sales tax holiday.
But it really helps people who are really stretched on dollars.
It helps people that are stretched, and the retailers and businesses love it because it creates a lot of excitement. It's kind of like Black Friday. Everybody goes out, and if you've seen, we've had very long lines in many of the retail establishments during sales tax holiday. And people buy other things while they're out. We've had support from the Ohio Restaurant Association, for example. They're not even in the bill, but they know that when people are out, they're going to go out to eat or get coffee. Yeah. So we have a lot of supporters behind this bill that don't even have the exemption. They don't sell any items that are subject to the exemption, but they benefit from it. So, and it's just a lot of fun.
Right.
It's exciting.
Well, and it goes to show, too, when you create a piece of legislation, you never know where what turns it could take. I mean, it's hard to predict those things. So that's great. I appreciate it, and good luck. We'll be watching you to see how it goes for you if you're looking at that congressional seat. But you also practice law.
Yes.
So why don't you just give us a little overview of the law you practice?
Sure.
Do
estate planning. I do probate work, including guardianships, and I do special needs estate planning. Is kind of my niche area. Dealing with families who have a child with disabilities, and we can set up a trust so that they can inherit mom and dad's assets and still keep their Social Security, Medicaid benefits.
Okay.
If that were to happen. So very enjoyable work with what I do, and once again, a good way to make a positive impact on families.
Yeah. We're financial planners here, and so obviously the estate planning is a significant part of it. And I'm always surprised at how many folks in complicated situations don't have any type of estate planning when they come in here. But how simple of a life does one need, or when does it start to get complicated enough that you need a will? I mean, my belief is, anytime you start to accumulate assets, they should have a direction as to what's going to happen if you pass away. But any thoughts on that?
Generally speaking, when you set up an estate plan, a will is kind of the foundation for the entire estate plan. So anyone out there that's looking to plan forward, there really is it's never too early to get a will. But realistically, most individuals don't start looking at getting a will until they get into the workforce. Some of them maybe when they're married. As people progress through their career, and especially if they have children, and then it becomes very critical. So.
Okay. And then lastly, I asked you about this. Your name is Kevin Bacon, so I know there's got to be confusion now and then. So can you leave us with one good story about...
My life changed in 6th grade when Footloose came out.
Okay.
Oh, no, I've had various situations where I've called and someone thinks it's a prank call or otherwise. I've actually of 2 situations where he has heard of me through other people. One of which I won't mention the business name. They took a call thinking it was me, and it was actually the actor Kevin Bacon calling. So one of the few times that people have confused, thought he was me as opposed to the other way around. So no, it's a lot of fun. I oftentimes get caught off guard. I forget I have a name of a famous person.
Right.
Anytime I hand out my ID or credit card, I oftentimes the other person starts to chuckle a little bit.
Right. Well, my name is very common, Anthony Jones. So I've had a weapon pulled on me because someone Anthony Jones being wanted. So I know what the confusion's like. So if we have the other Kevin Bacon on here, I'll have to ask him a good story.
That's right.
Being
That's
confused
right.
with you. So,
yeah.
But anyway, well, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Good luck going forward.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Phil will be back next week at a regular time. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next week.